And we're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Live from the Pink Couch. I'm Shel Grace, and I am the host and the facilitator for all of our mentor web series. If you identify closest with any of the mentees, please go and identify whether or not the worksheets or the homework assignments that they're given, if you can also do the same homework assignments, because it will help you accomplish your goals. So what I want to do first of all is to tell you who we have here with us. We have what I call my hashtag next level tribe, and there are 5 of them, and they have agreed to be mentored live from the Pink Couch every second and fourth Sunday of the month. So we have Fatia, who is our hopeful, Fatia. We also have our rising star, right? The rising star, Kwani. We also have our lone star, Darissa. We have our newbie, Ryan, the newbie. And we have our career 2.0, Therese. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about each of the mentees as we go further along. But what you need to know about them is that they have each identified a pink elephant goal. What's a pink elephant, girl? What's a pink elephant, Cheryl? Well, a pink elephant goal is your biggest, most audacious goal that you set for yourself, that you have to lean into just a little bit, and you need to rely on faith, and you probably also have to ask other people to help you achieve your goal. It's so big, you can't do it by yourself. And so that's why our 5 hashtag next level tribe of mentees are here with us. They're asking for a little bit of help. We bring on executive coaches and expert coaches to help them, in addition to some of the advice that I provide to them as well as their mentor. So, a pink elephant goal also has to be sliced and diced into small bites. We call those homework assignments. And so, after every single episode, mentees leave with a homework assignment that they're responsible for executing between now and the next time we come back. And so if you hear me say, so what was your homework assignment? Or let's talk through your homework assignment, that's what we're talking about. So the mentees have no idea who's being coached today, but I do want to introduce our coach, Stacy Sostine. Stacy has a background in urban education and leadership, and she's trained educators and policymakers and leaders in West Baltimore and New York to design international processes for inclusive decision making. She works to ensure stakeholders impacted most are at the table anytime decisions are being made. Stacy is the CEO and founder of Stubborn Heart Consulting, where she brings her human-centered approach to workplaces through experiential workshops and coaching. She works at the intersection of the personal and professional to advocate for authenticity, engagement, and inclusion at work. Stacy is living her bonus life in New Jersey with her partner Keith and her pup Wander Pickles. Wander Pickles, I love this. Wander Pickles. She values laughter, friendship, and her Nespresso machine, and a good surprise. So, welcome, Stacy.
So glad
So,
to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody and learning more about these pink elephant goals.
we're going to tell you who you're actually going to be working with, Stacy. You're going to be working with, drum roll, please, Therese, our Career 2.0 star. So, Stacy, I know you have her information, but Therese works for a premier luxury brand. She wants to monetize her side hustle. She needs to draft a business plan, and she's looking to formalize her relationships. Now, her specific pink elephant goal is, I will identify 5 new clients who will bring in $5,000 to $10,000 in new revenue in the next 6 months. And her homework assignment was to draft a 1-minute and a 3-minute elevator pitch. So, Stacy, meet Therese. Therese, meet Stacy. I'm going to give you all the next 15 minutes. It's speed coaching. 15 minutes to talk one-on-one. And then Therese, Stacy has agreed to spend at least an hour with you. After this session, we'll set you guys up so you guys have a little bit more time to discuss. But we want to do high level focus. And let's see how we can get Therese toward earning that pink elephant goal. All righty.
Woo woo. First, I'm so excited and I'm pleased to meet you, Therese.
Likewise.
I have done a little snooping. And so what I did before I came on was checked you out online, as we do these days. And so I was able to see what impressions I was able to make about your brand just by sort of checking out your LinkedIn and looking around. And so I'd love to start by sharing what I could tell about you just by seeing your LinkedIn and kind of what is available to me in terms of your resume and the resources that are out there in the world about who you are and what you're up to. And so without further ado, I'll note that you are someone who I can tell off the bat leads with a brand that is reputable, well-respected, data-driven, and results-oriented. I can tell that you are someone who is execution-focused and that in your time, in your profession, you have become known for getting things done. So I'd like a quick sense from you if that is in any way, shape, or form what you hope to be out there in the world about you and potentially what's missing.
That is absolutely 100% correct. And that is total public knowledge. And I think it is accurate. And in terms of, I think from my professional life, that is 100% true. What is probably missing the most in that side is the things that I am most passionate about in terms of things that are more on my personal side, that generally probably until the last 2 or 3 years really have not meshed, but probably I would say about in the last 3 years, they have begun to really blend in and become woven into really the fabric of my everyday.
Perfect. And so I agree with you. That's an assessment that I would endorse, which is that your professional side is super available to us and it leaves us wanting for more in terms of the depth of your brand. And what I like to say to folks that I'm working with is that we're at a unique time and turning point, a tipping point, if you will, in terms of what folks need to know or want to know or prefer to know about us, which vicariously equals our brand, to be able to invest in using their dollars towards working with us or investing in the product or service that we're putting out there into the world. And so authenticity is something that is a buzzword right now. Everyone's like, be authentic, right? You've heard it everywhere. And I'd like to sort of disrupt the common assessment of authenticity, which is tell it all, say it all, put it all out there. The Instagram way of being, which is if you can one up the next person with the juiciest detail about what's happening behind closed doors, you've somehow made a brand. Because that's not what we're going for, right? And especially someone like yourself, Therese, who's made an entire professional career out of working for a luxury brand. I'm sure you're skilled in separating, right, the personal from the professional. And so I want to invite you specifically today to interrogate that line of thinking and consider what is it that is true about me in my personal life and my personal why for this new business venture that needs to come out from behind closed doors and land front and center so that this pitch of yours and the way that you are sort of commanding space online can start to shift ever so slightly to showcase that intersection just a little bit more. So in an effort to make the best use of our short speed coaching here, what would be the most helpful for you to kind of dig into that and get started?
Well, I will say that in terms of my professional side, I have always kept it very private. And as of recent, I've kind of begun to blend, the two together. On both sides of the fence, on one side, I'm the owner of a successful nonprofit girls mentor group that I can speak to, in 4 different languages if asked. On the newest side of it is my newest venture, which is the business that we're talking about, Brand New View, which now I have to really begin to articulate in that same way and share it with those who know me close, of course, know it. But in this space here now, just to be able to understand how can I, speak to it with the same passion and zest and understand that it's okay to have these 3 worlds live together because they do complement itself and they all lean into the foundation of being results oriented and, very dedicated and hardworking and data driven. They all kind of have that same foundation. So just being able to lean into that.
Magical. So you've already kind of solved for the number one concern, which is what is the least common denominator that is true at the intersection of those 3 ventures. So you're sharing with me that it is that you're data-driven, results-oriented, and that is true whether you're leading this nonprofit, whether you are at this luxury brand in your full-time role, or whether you're at the helm sort of guiding this new venture. And so I'd love to hear if you're open to sharing your pitch, and we can kind of play with it a little and see what's working and where there's room to emphasize your strengths.
Sure, absolutely. I can share it. It probably was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, but I'll begin. The hardest part, I think, probably was the introduction side of it. But what I will say is that, hello, I am Therese Myers. I have always loved being in dialogue with people. I especially love helping individuals cultivate growth mindsets and thinking outside the box. In my corporate community, I have led successful teams become high performers by changing how they envision their lives. It probably was then that I realized that helping others uncover their true life passion is really what I do best. I was so inspired with the thought of helping others bring their ideas to life that I created Brand New View. Brand New View is an idea collaboration and business think tank. At Brand New View, we partner with clients to help develop their ideas and their concepts. We partner with you on generating new ideas and massaging existing ones. Who doesn't have an idea that they want massaged? Brand New View really is centered on bringing the best ideas to life and the ones that sit close to your heart. The possibilities are absolutely endless when we connect and we share your vision. One of the main things at Brand New View we do is really take into consideration everyone needs an accountability partner. And by sharing those ideas and sitting down with one of our experts, we're able to really just cultivate those ideas and make sure that we can help create the dreams that are really settling within your spirit. We know that the possibilities are endless when we connect and we share your visions. I launched Brand New View to help individuals reimagine the possibilities. Imagine having an idea that you just cannot articulate or develop. Imagine having a fire burning in your heart that's really waiting to get out. Do you have one that's waiting in your heart? Can I help you bring it to life? I'm going to be honest with you. There's going to be some moments of vulnerability, but I'm going to help you work through it. I would love to share how I can help you achieve your goals, and we can work as a partner. Can we connect on cupcakes and coffee? Hope so.
Cheers, Therese. Cheers for cupcakes and coffee. Thank you for your vulnerability and for sharing that with all of us. Congratulations on the biggest hump there is, right? Like sitting down pen to paper to get that concise, totality of everything that you're trying to do here summed up in a short and simplified way. And so I'm glad that you found it difficult, because that means you're on the right path. And I'd love to kind of make some space here for processing a little bit around what's working. So I'll share with you, when I am looking at a pitch, either for a job seeker, someone who wants to land their next role, for someone who's pitching their business to investors, or someone who's introducing themselves at a networking event to sort of produce future partnerships. There's some similarities across the board, even though you will change ever so slightly that pitch depending on how you plan to use it, right? So let me start there. How do you plan to use this pitch, Therese?
In this case here, it will be hopefully in a space of larger conferences where I'm developing clientele. It will be in one-on-one conversations if it's someone that I have met or know. And generally, there's always someone who has an idea that they're really waiting to birth. You know, we all say no one stays pregnant forever. The idea is that we want to birth what's in your heart, and we want to really bring that idea to life in whatever it looks like. Some people, it may be businesses. Some people, it may be writing a book. Sometimes it could just be, I want to get this known to the world. The idea is that we can be in participation together and just really recreate different conversations with ourselves and know that you can achieve it, and whatever that achieve it looks like.
Beautiful. So we know collectively that we should be looking to give you feedback around what it is that's going to earn you a second conversation with said partner or person that you've encountered at the conference.
Yes.
So what I'd like to sort of preface this with, there's 3 things that I'm going to be looking for in a pitch, which is you're dealing with people of all types, right? We know that some folks are more introverted, others more extroverted. Some folks need to hear data, others need to be enlisted with their heart to feel compelled to have a second encounter with us. And so whenever I'm looking at the content in a pitch, I want to know what's here for everyone, so that no matter who is on the other side of this conversation or introduction, you're going to hook them. And so if the rest of the tribe can help here, I'd love if we can kind of take a look back and say, what is it that Therese shared that if you were someone who really only felt compelled by data or needed to know the facts quickly to consider a conversation with someone, what did you hear from Therese that would spark your interest or encourage you to get in touch with her again? Anything that one of the other members of the group could share?
I think for me, it's that element of thought partnership, because sometimes you really do need someone to kind of help you think things through when you're considering, your own business or whatever the case may be. And so I think having that resource is really something that would interest me, and I think other people as well.
Amazing. So anyone who's analytical or looking for someone to break it down, they're hearing thought partnership. Awesome. I can be, myself, I can come to the table and expect that Therese is going to partner with me here. There's no judgment. That's definitely a plus. Anything else that you heard in that pitch that would hook someone like that?
Yeah, this is Dorissa. I think I'm the Lone Star, by the way. And I think for me, I loved her pitch. It felt very warm. On the data side, it was kind of light. The analytical side, it was kind of like, I would love to know how many clients she's helped in the past, what their results may be. I would love to know maybe like a time frame, what that time frame would be like in terms of receiving the help, if it could be broken up in chunks or if it was, a certain time frame. And just in general, those few details I think would be more on the analytical side.
Great feedback. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you to you, Dorissa, for highlighting that. Yes, the analytical piece was the lightest in your pitch coming out of the gate. So this is an area that we're going to spend some time on to really beef it up. But you were phenomenally developed in the heart side of things. So if we're going to, get at the head, we'll get that data in there, but you strung for the heart hard, right? Like that was what came through in your pitch. You really synced me when you said things like, imagine you have that burning in your heart, right? Like you invited us to explore our emotion. You invited us to think about, how we can connect with you and then with ourselves. And so, to someone who does sort of lead with the heart, you had a lot of opportunity in there through the storytelling component of your pitch. You told us the essence of what drove you, and then you highlighted what that means for partnering with you to go forward. And so I'll double tap that as the strength in your pitch, but it was also lengthy. So if you were to decide where to cut, I would kind of comb through with a highlighter and look for all the parts that are calling to the heart and decide which were the most critical for someone to hear so that you can move that to the center of your pitch and make sure that there's no redundancies, right? Because you only have a very short amount of time to talk to this person at the conference. And so whatever that heart piece is that you really want to shine, we're going to hone in on it and then make that the center of the pitch. Were there any like lines in particular that really stuck out to folks so that we can help Therese really?
Cupcakes and coffee, I believe she mentioned. So I like the lighthearted, low impact invitation to have a conversation. So someone can say yes or no, or I'm a tea person, so I can say, if you have tea instead, but it's a very light invitation to, I want to get your business without saying it. So I did like that hook there.
Who doesn't like cupcakes, right?
Right, exactly.
Absolutely. And really, you've just highlighted the third piece that every good pitch has, which is you're calling to action, how you'd like this person to make a decision about engaging with you. So you never want someone to have to come up with this for themselves, because this is where we lose people, right? If you make them sort of go hunting for a way to continue talking with you, then it's going to end up in a delayed message or a missed LinkedIn connection, right? Like we want to be very specific and very clear. So Therese, when you said, can we do cupcakes and coffee? That was a very specific call to action that, you know, to your point, hopeful that it's warm and inviting. And so you're making a statement about your brand by choosing to do it that way. So to the rest of the folks who are thinking about your pitch, make a decision that's in line with your authentic brand, right? So if you're someone who, you know, is comfortable in, you know, low impact settings and you'd like to have an engaging soft combo, you know, that doesn't say we're going to have a talk about money, right? Like you're not going to get that detailed exchange of decisions about how you'd like to set up a contract, right? So know that your invite should mirror or match exactly what you plan to take away from the next time you get together with this person. So if you are looking for something that is calling for that type of critical exchange of details about funding, then you might choose something a little bit more formal than cupcakes and coffee. But for your sake, Therese, it sounds like that is exactly what you want. And that's going to set you up to have a really open, warm conversation to partner with someone and set up time for future contracts.
That's correct.
So across the board, I'd love to hear if there was anything else, you know, great, keep it. Maybe we want to change it just to help Therese before we kind of close out.
I was just going to suggest, I did hear a couple of points that were repeated, and you touched upon that, Stacy, and you know, and I wondered if we were circling back and starting over again, but you know, so if we could just, as you said, cut out the repetitiveness, that would be great.
Perfect. And I think it's almost in the mind when you're seeing it for the first time is you're trying to, did I get everything in? So it's being conscious to have it like flow as well. So that's great. Thank you.
Absolutely. And just to kind of sum up, something to take with you so that when you're sitting with your notebook and kind of going through this process wise, my favorite strategy is 3 different color highlighters, red, yellow, green. Go through, find the head parts, right? Find where that data lives, find where you're going to enlist those analyzers and where they're going to get excited about what you have to say. In a different color, find the heart pieces. You know, identify it, highlight it, see how much of a ratio it is, head to heart, right? Make sure you get somewhat of a balance. And then that last piece is where is the clear call to action that's going to hit them in the gut, right there? Like, what's that gut punch? What am I called to do? How am I going to continue with you? How do I not fall short and miss my chance, right? Find that in the third highlighter and make sure that it's at the end, right? So some people get lost. It ends up in the beginning or in the middle just by sheer conversational context. But double check and circle back, make sure that call to action is at the end of your pitch. And the last thing that I'll say is formula wise, what I always like to give folks to make sure that you have everything. I always say start with that intro, you know, who you are, what the business name is, or the way that you're orienting to this conversation. You don't want to be the nonprofit leader if you're not the nonprofit leader today, right? Always talk about who you are going forward. Let that come out right out the gate. You had a little bit of an extended one here, but you want no more than 2 to 3 brief sentences about exactly what you've been up to and how it lends to the work that you're doing now. So 3 brief sentences, and one of those needs to have your highest level metric. So in that sentence, you want to hit them hard with like the thing that they know you for, right? And that's kind of what you were saying, Dorissa, like you were looking for that one. So that would be a great point for you, Therese, is to really choose that one wisely.
Yes.
And then close it out with that summary of call to action. Here's how we're going to go forward. And really take that and run with it. I think you have an amazing start, and it's going to be phenomenal when you just kind of get it a little bit tighter.
That's super. I appreciate it. And it's the metric side of it is totally something that I work on in every aspect of my life. It's like, I know it, but it's something about saying I've helped 15 customers. Like, to me, it sounds braggadocious. So I have to really, change that.
The heart people like you, it's always our work, but it's okay. I always say, invite somebody else to your process. If there's somebody else you trust who's been with you, ask them what they remember from your resume, which metrics stand out, and that'll help you own that in a way that maybe that discomfort comes up where you're like, oh, I don't want to be all, talking myself up over here. But don't hesitate to invite people into your process, creating this thing, and try out different sentences. I always say socialize your sentences. Get into a conversation with somebody, see what sticks, what doesn't, what goes over, what goes under, and then you can switch them out, play them up, switch them out, change them around. And when you land on that really great one, just keep socializing it and get out there and keep introducing yourself, and it'll just start to roll off the tongue. So
thank you so much. Wonderful.
It's the humble brag, Teresa.
Yes.
We're going to have to get you with that humble brag. We have got to, that's a little later on where we focus on that humble brag. So yes, Dorissa, you're absolutely right. Great advice, Stacy. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and feedback with Therese. And I will make sure that you all get each other's information so that you can connect and have a little bit of a deeper dive on this. But thank you so much for joining us today. You can feel free to stay around, or we totally understand if you have to dash, but thank you for this part of the program.
Thank you so much. And don't hesitate to stay in touch. I'm cheering for all of you and looking forward to where this journey takes everybody. Have a wonderful rest of the session, and I'll see you.
Thank you again.
Thank you. And we'll give Stacy's contact information toward at the end of the program, so you'll know how to get in touch with her if anyone out there wants to reach out to her.
Perfect.
Thanks, Stacy.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, Therese, you feel good? How you feeling?
Thank you. That was super, super helpful. And I think saying it for the first time helps to get the jitters off of that. I didn't realize that honestly could be very, very nerve-wracking, but I received everything. So, and I could see exactly where the points and the feedback came from. So I'm going to take another pass at it, and I feel good about it. So thank you for that.
Okay, and you also get a copy of this so that you can go back through and hear it again, because sometimes when you're on the hot seat, you don't really have a chance to take notes and really absorb what's being said. So we'll make sure you get that.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, next up, Fatia. Fatia. Hello. Fatia is our hopeful. She is a data analytics professional. She was downsized during COVID. She has an MBA, and she's worked short stints at multiple companies, and she's seeking a salary of $100,000. Now, her pink elephant goal is, I'm a marketing data visualization manager at a tech or healthcare company, focusing on consumer behavior, making $85,000 to $100,000 in the next 6 months. So Fatia's homework assignment was also to develop a 1-minute and a 3-minute elevator pitch, and to identify 20 companies for her consideration. So because of time, let's hone in, Fatia, on your 1-minute elevator speech. And I want you all to pay attention because we're going to ask you at the end what you remembered, and we only have a minute, so let's do the minute elevator pitch. We just got on the elevator. We're on the 40th floor. There you go.
Hi, my name is Fatima Kasumu, and I embody the phrase, if you want to get something done, ask a busy person to do it. I am a natural born leader, and I'm skilled in delegating tasks, adhering to deadlines, and I am the team player that handles unexpected situations when they arise. My leadership style is treating everyone differently and inspiring my team to use creative, competitive, and innovative ways to solve problems. My background is in digital media, journalism, and communications, where I thrive in deadline-driven environments. I appreciate opportunities that provide variety and challenge every day, and honor spaces in which cultivating relationships with team members and an audience is encouraged. I am seeking roles in marketing data visualization as a manager in a tech or healthcare firm. My background as a storyteller and as a Tableau data visualization analyst allowed me to find and connect with new audiences, as well as provide opportunities to explain complex data to executives who are looking to monetize a diverse market. Thank you.
Thank you. Yay, very good. It was very smooth, right? I think I felt it moves smoothly. What's some of the advice we have? Feedback.
I feel like there wasn't a call to action at the end. Maybe you can
Right.
like suggest meeting.
Yep. Thanks, Ryan. That
I
was
think-
mine too.
Yeah, I
Bonnie?
think because you're focusing on data, I think maybe highlighting some of the data you've worked with in the past would also be a key to driving home what you want to do.
I got a little bit confused between the data and the storytelling and the journalistic. So how do you bridge that so people understand if you're looking for a data analytics job, what that has to do with the storytelling, or that you use storytelling to unfold complex stories, or you use storytelling to unfold complex data-oriented stories, but connect the two because there doesn't seem to be a bridge. I got your list of companies, Fatia: Comcast, NASDAQ, Cigna, Salesforce, Chegg, Nielsen IQ, Harris County, City of Houston, Johnson & Johnson, WebMD, Publicis Group, GlaxoSmithKline, Salesforce, PayPal, Snapstream, Palmer Consulting Firm, Zendesk, Toptal,
Yeah. Mhm.
Kiva Brands, The Motley Fool. Ooh, what a good one. And the Cardinal Health. If anyone out there who's watching has any contact information about anyone working at any of these 20 companies, please DM me or reach out to me on Facebook and or LinkedIn so that I can forward that contact information to Fatia. Fatia, you were looking into identifying folks at these respective brands. Have you had a chance to do that yet?
So
On
I have,
LinkedIn?
so I have some light connections. I don't want to name the company, but I do have one person did respond, and I'm an informational interview this Wednesday for about 30 minutes to talk to this person. So I'm excited about that.
Wonderful. So remember, when you do the information interview, open up by sharing very distinctly what it is that you want to do. So you can use the elevator pitch. You might want to shorten it just a little bit, just so it is very clear why you want to have this conversation, and then stop talking and let them answer the question that you put forth to them at the beginning of the informational interview. And at the end of the informational interview, ask them if there are 2 to 3 other people that they could recommend that you chat with. That's going to grow your network.
Okay.
What questions do you have?
Yeah, could you please elaborate further on the question of an informational interview? Because I have questions tailored to some of the job responsibilities. However, I think I'm with not wanting to be very, I want to work here, or opportunities for me so that they don't feel pressured. So I think, could you clarify that, please?
Yeah, so the informational interview is not a job interview. Do you have a
Right.
job interview or do you have an informational interview?
No, it's an informational.
Okay. So with your informational interview, you just want to get to know a little bit more about the culture of the company. If that's who you're talking to, someone who works at the company, is that right?
Yes.
So a little bit more about the culture of the company, anything that they can tell you about uh, what typical days are like at the company. You don't want to necessarily put them in the hot seat, if you will, where they're trying to give you insider tips on the job unless they volunteer those.
Mhm.
So it's really more learning about the company, learning more about the team, asking them if there's anything you should know in particular as you pursue, possibly joining the company. And if you have an interview already set up with the company, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay. So just perhaps then asking them, what would you suggest in this industry is a great way to get on track with aligning yourself with people in the industry, as opposed to a particular job.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes. The other thing is for my pitch, I imagine that this is a pitch where if I'm on an elevator, how I approached this was I'm going to talk about a little bit of myself, but I wasn't really clear on the call to action to learn more about me. But because my Pink Elephant is so career focused, I was thinking like, well, this pitch would ideally be at a job interview too. So that would be my call to action because I already have the interview. So would there be a need for a call to action, or is there a phrase or a light sentence that I could use? I'm drawing a blank here, so I just wanted to see if anyone else could elaborate more on that since my Pink Elephant is so job focused.
That's a great question. I can answer it unless there's someone else who wants to take a stab at it.
Yes, this is Dorissa. I would think the call to action in the interview would be something like, I would love to keep the conversation open, and I would love to answer any additional questions that you may have, and provide, say my contact information is of course on my resume, and I look forward to hearing from you again soon, or something like that.
Okay. That's good. Thank you.
Wani?
I was going to say exactly the same thing. That's usually what candidates say to me. I look forward to continuing the conversation. If there's anything else in my background I could further, provide clarification around, please let me know. I look forward to hearing from you.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask, would it be a good call to action to say, do you see how maybe my skill set can complement this particular role, or is there anything on my resume that you see would be an asset to the organization?
So I want to be clear because it's an informational interview. And so if you're going to be using it as part of a job interview, as part of your introduction, then that is how you would answer the question when they say, tell me something about yourself. Right? So this is your response. If they say, tell me something about yourself, and then you use the part of that to share about yourself. And you're right, you wouldn't have a call to action at that point, but you could say, is there anything in what I've shared that makes you think that I'm not a great candidate or gives you concern for me being a qualified candidate for this role? If you're using it as part of a job interview, answering that question. Because, again, if you're going to marry the data and the storytelling, make sure it's clear in their mind, if you're going after an analyst role, that you don't open up more questions than existed before you started sharing.
Thank you.
Does that help?
Yes. Thank you so much.
You sure?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Okay, very good. Next, we've got our dear Ryan. Hello, Ryan. Ryan got the most visibly improved resume on our last session. He's a recent graduate, everyone, and he has no previous job experience. never had an internship because COVID canceled it out. And he's seeking to earn between $51,000 to $56,000 a year in a financial role. So his specific pink elephant goal is, I'm an investment analyst for a middle market or bulge bracket firm making between $51,000 and $56,000 a year in the next 4 months. So Ryan's homework assignment was to draft again his 1-minute elevator pitch. And so Ryan, in the essence of time, we're going to give you 1 minute to tell us who you are. Go.
All right. Hi, my name is Ryan Sayer. I am a recent graduate of Marquette University, where I study finance. I'm currently on the job hunt right now, seeking a career in investment banking or a corporate finance setting. I chose investment banking after taking the course in college and seeing that there was a lot of, you get to work a lot with a lot of clients who, are just as motivated as you to succeed. And there's no 2 days that are exactly the same. So that was extremely exciting for me. And in my time during undergrad, I worked on 2 Harvard Business School case studies. The first one, I worked on the sell side of a deal where I attempted to increase the target company's value to sell it to buyers. And the second deal I worked was an LBO deal in which we attempted to purchase the AMC Entertainment for a firm. I had hoped to apply all of this financial knowledge to an internship, but unfortunately it was canceled due to COVID. And while I lack internship experience, I feel like I'm more to make up for it with academic leadership experience. For 2 years in a row, I was elected treasurer for Black Student Council. I was the VP for Delta Sigma Pi's pledge class of 2018. And I helped bring an organization to campus called Campus Curls, which helped people with natural hair embrace their look in professional settings. The reason why I believe I could be a valuable asset to your team is because I'm extremely hardworking, dedicated, creative, and comprehensive. I have the soft and hard skills necessary to be successful in this role, in this industry, and I have classroom experience researching, building, and presenting precedent transaction analysis, comparable company analysis, DCF models, LBO models, and all 4 financial statements. I know my way around the buy and sell side of deals, and I believe that I can grow in any position that I'm put in. And I would love to know more about your firm and how I can contribute to it.
What?
Yeah.
Wow, Ryan, you packed a lot into a minute. That's really good. And you also came to life when you started talking about and telling your story. I love that. So really, really great job. Anybody have any feedback for Ryan?
You did really well at the beginning introducing yourself. You also highlighted why you're such a great asset, which I think is crucially important. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
I love the buzzwords related to your industry. And I think, while I didn't know as much about it, but I'm sure those who are in the industry I thought it was impressive that you can connect some of those specifics, particularly about, some of the case studies you did, which showed that you have some background in terms of the thought process. So I thought that was great.
Thank you.
Great.
Yes, Ryan, I thought you did a great job as well. You seem very well versed, even though, you did point out you have not as much experience. The one things that kind of stood out for me were the words attempted. I would prefer that you have more certainty. And then when you said soft and hard skills, I would say soft and technical skills.
Okay.
But those would be my 2 critiques. But otherwise, you did a great job. And just relax. You know your stuff and you can do great at it. So
Thank you.
Really good. Kwani?
In terms of feedback, I actually agree with Dorissa and Therese and Fatia. I thought the buzzwords, and I think there were 4 financial analysis or statements or whatever you discussed. Yeah, I thought that was really key and really impressive. And it shows how well versed you are in the industry.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought it was a great job, Ryan. I thought that everything that everyone said, so I don't want to be repetitive. You can slow it down just a little bit.
Okay.
But your enthusiasm did come through. I got a sense of all that you've accomplished, even though you may not have any specific job experience. I love how before I could ask you as a hiring manager, well, you don't really have any job experience. You shared with me. in a positive, upbeat way, the kinds of experience that you did have that related back to what you were looking for. So I thought you did a great job. Just slow it down a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
And again, that's a conversation that you're going to have if you're in an interview setting with someone. If you're in an informational interview, you're not going to ask them about a job, and you're not going to say, this is why I would be a great candidate for the job. You're going to talk about what you're looking for, but you're not going to say some of the specific things that you said when you were talking to an interviewer. So I just want to make sure, Fatia, you and Ryan, you are both clear on the difference between an informational interview and a job interview. But very personable. It really came through. Thank you. Any questions, Ryan?
Yeah, so I actually had an interview this Friday for a venture capital firm.
Oh, how did it go?
It went really well. I'm actually expecting to get it. I was just curious as to because I feel like a lot of this I copied and pasted my resume in. How is it necessary to do this when people have already read my resume? Do I need to say all of this?
Well, sometimes you can lend a different lens to what you're sharing that's on your resume. So don't just repeat it word for word. Tell me something that's not on your resume. Your resume is like a business card. It gets you in the door. But, so you can't say on the resume that you delivered these tactics, in spite of having some really difficult people on the team that you had to use conflict resolution to work around. You can't say that on a resume, but you can say that in person. So I would say, don't just recap exactly what's on your resume. Try to make sure that you add a little bit more depth or behind the scenes information that you can share with them.
Okay.
So this job, so you use your new resume for the job, or was winning? You guys were winning. Okay, so you use your new resume, and when did they ask you to tell them about yourself?
No, they kind of just went through the resume and asked me about certain key pieces on it. They wanted to know about my investment banking course. They wanted to know about my experience, with fundraisers. She just went through line by line, basically.
Okay. And did you, what makes you think they're going to give you an offer?
They're very excited. And then they started speaking to me like I already had the role. I want you to do this when we're going to have you do this when you come in. It was just,
okay.
It was just good vibes.
Okay, good. And what were the questions you asked, Ryan?
The interviewer, so the interviewer mentioned that they were in a sorority. So I asked them about that. And then I asked about their portfolio that they have and their investment strategy.
Okay. The investment strategy for the company or for the interviewer personally?
For the company.
Okay. And did you ask anything about the job? What next steps are?
Well, she kind of offered that up before we got to that part. She told me that to expect a phone call next week, by April 12th.
So to expect a phone call for an offer, to expect a phone call to let you know what next steps are, what's going to happen with the phone call?
She wasn't specific with that, but I can't imagine her calling me, telling me hey, we can't give it to you. I like that. I feel like that's more of an email. She has my email.
Okay. Sometimes they do call you and tell you, you're not a good fit. So I'm not trying to burst your bubble or anything, but they do make those hard phone calls, right, Kwani? We've decided to go in a new direction. What questions, if he, and we're rooting that you're going to get this job. Mm-hmm. If he finds himself in another interview situation after you've gotten this job and you're ready to move up to the next one, what is a good follow-up question if you want to know what happens next?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So typically what candidates will ask me is, can you give me a sense of the interview process in terms of timing? Will there be 2 rounds, 3 rounds? What does the final round look like? What is the time frame? Should you guys decide to go with me and extend an offer, what is the time frame between extending an offer and the last round of interviews? Just because that really gives you a better sense of timing. And I think that if they are serious about you as a candidate, they'll be able to answer those questions truthfully and be transparent.
Yeah, what you don't want to do, Ryan, is to ever leave an interview situation, not knowing what's going to happen next. So you're going to get a phone call, and that's great. But what's the phone call about? Is the
Yeah.
phone call to talk you through next steps? Is the phone call to make an offer? Is it to say that, you're not going to, I don't know, was this a recruiter versus a hiring manager versus the actual, manager? Like, who did you have the interview with?
This was the a partner at the firm. They told me that they would call me, and they're making final decisions by April 12th. So I'll
Okay,
know
you're making-
if I got it or if I didn't by April 12th.
Okay, great. All righty. Okay,
So-
so
Oh, sorry.
go on, Kwani.
No, I was just going to ask. So you only met with one person, Ryan? You don't have to meet with anyone else?
No, it was a very small firm. It's only 4 employees.
Mhm.
It's a startup in New York.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we got a whole lot of questions, Ryan. We
Yeah.
need to have a one-on-one conversation because I want to know, do you have to move to New York? Are they going to pay for any of your relocation fees? Do you know what your base salary is going to
Well,
be?
It's actually a fellowship. So it's like an internship, basically,
Oh.
that starts in the summer. Yeah.
Okay. And so they handle all of that as part
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
fellowship.
Well, yeah, they told me it would be remote in the beginning, and depending on how things go, we'll be out there.
Okay, and it's a paid fellowship, right?
It is.
Do you know what the salary is for the
Yeah,
fellowship?
It's $500 a week,
Okay, for how many weeks?
8 weeks.
Okay, so it's 500. I got my Medea calculator. I always got my Medea calculator. 500 times 8 weeks.
hmm
Okay, so it's $4,000. So it's a $4,000 stipend.
hmm
Okay, and they're going to house you for those 8 weeks.
No, it's going to be remote in the beginning, and they said by like week 7 they expect us to be there. So like 2 weeks in New
Okay,
York.
so 2 weeks in New York, but they pay for that.
I'm not clear about that. I'm not sure about that yet.
Okay, and do they pay for you to get to New York? So the clarity questions that you need to ask is as part of this fellowship, what are the financial responsibilities you own that is going to come out of that $4,000? Because $4,000 ain't going to go a whole long way.
Yeah.
So you don't want this to be a burden or a hardship on you, like 2 weeks in New York, if you have to pay for 2 weeks in a hotel or 2 weeks in temporary housing, that could eat up your 4K right there,
Yeah.
like really easily. So make sure you feel confident asking. For Ryan, look at Site for Job Opportunity. They are virtual right now.
Okay.
What's that mean? Who's that from?
That's another investment firm that could be a good lead for him.
Okay.
A job. Mhm.
Okay. All right. So, and you also need to make sure that you can interview while you're doing the fellowship. Like, make sure you
Yeah.
get that clarity as well, that it's okay for you to still go on job interviews while you're doing the fellowship. I know you said most of it is remote, but you want to make sure that you don't
Mhm.
cancel out any opportunities for long-term commitment.
Yeah. I understand.
Okay, great.
Did they say-
Wonderful.
Did they say, I'm sorry, Cheryl, I just have questions.
Yeah, I know, right?
Did they say anything, Ryan, in regards to the possibility of your role being converted to a full-time employee?
No, not yet. No. Yeah, it's more of like a fellowship. So it's like basically just like they started the company last year. It started in 2020. And so they're like, it's only 4 people. They're all partners. So they're trying to expand, but they don't have that much market share right now.
Okay, but it's a valid question that Kwani is sharing, that you should know. Like, a startup is great. Is there an opportunity to get in at the ground level? And I know you're really, really, coming in at an entry level, but for startup, it may be worth asking the question about, is there stock buy-in early on, like, so that as they grow, right? So that's important for you to ask as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you let us know before you have some more of these conversations so we can help you. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So next up is Kwani. Kwani is our rising star. She works at a premier cultural institution. She's open to industry change. She's looking for a promotion and she's ready to make $200,000 a year. So her pink elephant goal is I've increased my salary to $200,000 via promotion or industry change to director of talent acquisition or senior HR business partner role with an emphasis on D&I, and I'm going to do it in the next 6 months. So of course, 6 months from when we started. So Kwani, let's hear your 1 minute.
Okay, I'm so nervous. So I actually
being on the pink hot seat, right?
So nervous. So I actually recorded my 3 minute and I reviewed the video that you had suggested, Cheryl, from Tatiana Kolovo. So that is the approach that I've taken. Okay. So if you guys are the interviewers, you're asking me a little about myself. All right. So here we go.
So you're going to do the 1 minute, right?
I'm going to try. Okay. All
right. Go.
All right. Yeah. So my name is Quanisha Mosley. I'm a native New Yorker. I had the opportunity to start my career out in the fashion industry, where I actually hold a BFA and I worked in various buying capacities for large retailers. After a while in the fashion industry and having a few friends in some of the larger retailers that I work in HR, I became really intrigued by HR, and I was always really appreciative of how HR sits at the core of the organization's strategy and people initiatives, and thought that it would be something that I would be really interested in pursuing. And I also have great interpersonal skills. So I thought, first and foremost, I could really leverage my interpersonal skills. I actually ended up leaving one of the large retailers I was at, which was Saks, for a next steps opportunity. 2 weeks into the role, I faced a personal tragedy, which kind of threw me off. And of course, quite naturally, I just wasn't focused. And I ended up leaving. They were really understanding, very supportive. I used it as an opportunity to just kind of regroup, refocus, and really decide what I wanted to do. I ended up going back to grad school, pursuing a master's in HR management. And, I started back in the fashion industry, but on a wholesale end, and took a risk while in a role as an office manager and left for a contract opportunity in HR. And while people may think that I was absolutely insane, it actually worked out. And I started in that role, managing the transition between benefit vendors. And then I somehow organically evolved into recruiting for large banks such as Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley. And then I ended up leaving that contract opportunity for another contract opportunity to support with talent acquisition. At the time, the company had one person in sales, and I was tasked with growing the sales team. And because I was able to successfully identify the appropriate candidate profile, I grew the sales team from 1 to 19 people. And 6 months into the role, I was hired into a full-time global HR managerial capacity. I left there after 2.5 years, and I am now the head of recruiting for a premier cultural institution where I lead the talent acquisition strategy. And I work primarily on senior leadership, executive C-suite roles.
Okay, very good. All right. It was 2 minutes and 32 seconds long. I love how conversational you are. I had a hard time following, right? Because you took us, you took us all. And then I did this, and then I stepped back, and I was wondering, the personal story that you shared, why you feel it's necessary to share it. Is there a gap on your resume or something that you need to address?
Yeah, because I was there for 2 weeks. So 2 weeks into the role, my grandmother had fallen really ill and ended up passing away.
Oh, I'm sorry. So is that job for 2 weeks even on your resume?
I took it off. It was just something I got it. Okay.
So take it off and then don't mention it.
Okay.
2 weeks is not worth mentioning.
Sure.
Right? If you 2 years, then I could understand why we were doing all of this. But for 2 weeks, take it off. You don't need to bring it up.
Okay.
Don't, because it confused me. And then you got back on track. And,
Yeah.
so I want you to focus more on the highlights
Sure.
and not all the minutia in between.
Okay.
But that was just me. What are some of your feedback?
Hi, Kwani. Great job. This is Dorissa. I would love for you to start with a little bit of the exhilaration of what it was like for you to grow that team from 1 to 19. Like that would be the energy that I would try to start off with, and just talk about why you want to continue that journey. And then, go into a bit about your work history. That would kind of tie it all into a little bit better for me. So those would be my suggestions, but otherwise you did a great job.
Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Dorissa. Anybody else?
This is Therese. Hello. I was thinking, well, I love, now I can hear the metrics in there. I love to hear more about that 1 to 19, because that's a huge jump in terms of something to be proud of, and whether maybe it was implementing new programs or something along that level. So that's absolutely agree with that. That's something very noteworthy to mention.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Last but not least today, we've got Dorissa, our Lone Star. So our Lone Star is someone who is looking at starting a business venture, wants to be an entrepreneur. And so Dorissa is a techpreneur. She is launching an app this year, and she needs a CTO. What's a CTO again?
Chief Technology Officer.
She needs a chief technology officer to help her code. That's what she's looking for. So if any of you techies are out there and you know a chief technology officer, call me, DM me. I'll put you in touch with Dorissa. And she's also seeking $500,000 in investment. Dorissa's Pink Elephant goal is I've successfully launched my Cos Music app on Apple's App Store with $50,000 in startup capital in 5 months. And so her homework assignment as well was to draft a 1 minute along with a 3-minute elevator pitch. And we're going to start with your 1 minute. So Dorissa.
Hi, I'm Dorissa Griffin. My company is Cos Music. It's an app that creates a personal theme song based on your astrology. It solves a lack of self-confidence and higher purpose connection, which other astrology apps do in writing, because music's novelty is music. The benefits of a personal theme song include feeling in sync with life, inspired, and empowered. Cos Music is in the concept phase with 100 signups and is targeted for launch as a minimum viable experience, or MVE, by May 1st, 2021 on the glideapps.com. Customers download the app for free, and the fee is $4.99 for a theme song and zodiac sign playlist. Our target customers are single women, 25 to 45, interested in astrology and personal development. We aim to acquire 5% of the $40 million apps market in the $2.3 billion mystic and psychic services industry by honing the MVE, then officially launching on the Apple App Store later this year. As the founder building a global lifestyle brand for acquisition, I seek $50,000 in startup capital for Cos Music. The costs include app development, music production and licensing, marketing, business registration, and equipment. With your partnership and investment, Cos Music can launch out of this world. Thank you.
Very good. You know what I love is like clearly you had some disruption in the back and you just soldiered forward. You like, no. You all are not going to block my blessing today. I'm going to get this elevator pitch out, because this could be an important investor. And I like how you were laser focused. So fabulous job on that. Fabulous job. Team, any feedback for Dorissa?
So I really like that you were very inspired, and you could tell your passion just spoke directly through. I would have liked to see a little bit more of what is a theme song for someone that would like to be an investor plus also a user. Like, what is the importance of having a theme song? And I know we touched a little bit on it last time, but if there could be like a sentence or two, I think that would be helpful. Otherwise, I really liked your enthusiasm and passion.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was really good. I felt like I was watching like a Shark Tank pitch. Like I could tell that you have a lot of experience doing this. It's
I
really
think
good.
Therese even put in the comments, Shark Tank ready.
I was inspired. That's beautiful.
It was awesome. It was wonderful, Dorissa. The only thing I think you probably want to clarify is the charge. Is it monthly? Is it annually? Just so it's clear.
Make sure I take it off mute. Yeah, so that would be, I appreciate all of your suggestions. I do, after working with Muhammad this past week and having him on last week, like he's been really great. And I actually had my first pitch ever for Cos Music this past Wednesday with SCORE. And so you guys are getting the residual because I have been
practicing. Yes.
Yes, I've been practicing. I tweaked it a little bit to make it the 3 minutes that for the Pink Couch, but originally it was 2 minutes, and then you were like 1 minute. So I was like on the computer trying to like figure in my mind how to get it down some. So a lot of the information about like more specifics on the theme song got cut out, but I will make that a point to make sure that that's a part of anything that I'm talking about. But thank you.
Okay, so y'all can't bury the lead and then not tell us. So Ryan had a job interview, you had a pitch. How'd the pitch go?
It went great. I had 5 minutes, 2 minutes of which to pitch. And then afterwards, there were a panel of roughly 6 to 7 judges that can ask me any question whatsoever. What's crazy is that you want to know the first question that they asked me after I did all of that. So
What?
Tell me a little about yourself. I was like, oh my God. I did not feel ready to answer that question, which I'm embarrassed to say. I spent so much time just honing in on how to present Cos Music and, making sure that I was telling a compelling story about the app. I totally forgot about myself. So, just having like 30 seconds of something to say was what I worked on afterwards. Because you only have a few minutes after the pitch. So I didn't want to take up too much time, but the judges were really great. They complimented me on my background. They also asked me basically questions about music licensing and gave me some suggestions on that and asked me about my target audience. Originally, I had it like a sliver, and that was only because I was focusing on digital marketing. And when you're doing social media marketing, you have this much of a budget. And so you have to be super targeted. So they said, make it broader, because it seemed like one of the judges was like, I want one of those. And I'm not in that category. So those were the critiques that I got.
I love it. And I'm congratulations. I'm really happy that it turned out really well for you. And I love that there was a lesson in it. The lesson is, you guys, businesses don't make relationship with other businesses. People make relationships with other people. And so if you're in the business of doing business, make relationships with the business owners. And so that comes from having a little bit of your personality and your personal story in that 2 minutes. So even if it's, 15 seconds, 5 seconds, at the beginning of your pitch, include that. That's why I made you all watch that particular elevator pitch, because it talks about the authenticity of it and how what you and who you are connects you to what you're doing. And, so just a little bit more of that story would have answered his question right away. So tell me about yourself. People are going to ask you about yourselves, and I want you all to be ready. So this has been great. Thank you. What I want you to do for all of your homework assignment next week is, Therese, I need to know where we are in terms of identifying those 5 to 10 clients. I don't know if you've made any inroads, but I'd like to see who they are or what your projection is for how you're going to get them. And Ryan, of course, we want to know where things ended up with your fellowship, but I also want to make sure, it doesn't sound like there's a lot of negotiation, wiggle room on the fellowship, but I do want to know who you're going to continue networking with in order to get a full-time job. So who are the folks that you're going to have these informational interviews with, separate and aside from the fellowship that you're going to be doing? It's time to identify those individuals. So let us know who those people are going to be, who you've identified. You don't need their last name, but I want you to go in the LinkedIn and set up some of those informational interviews with them again. Fatia, is pretty much the same thing for you. You have your list of 20 companies, 10 to 20 companies, and now it is time for you to set up additional interviews with, connecting with those individuals. Networking is really, really critical. Kwani, for you, I am wondering where you are with having conversations with your manager about a promotion, because your goal includes either being promoted or going to another company. So how have you positioned yourself to have this conversation with your manager? What are some of the bullet points that you would want to share with your manager? And likewise, who have you connected with externally to share that you're looking, and what your hopeful salary, or well, not your salary, but what your job is that you're looking for? We'd like to have that information from you for next, because I want to make sure we're moving you all forward, that you're going forward. And last but not least, Darissa, where are we with the 50K? How far have we gotten? Who have you reached out to? Who's on your hit list? How much are you asking each investor for? Like, what's that plan look like for you? Anybody have any questions about your homework? Nope. Okay. All right. Thank you all. It's been a great session. I'm really energized by all of the movement that's happening. And, so if something happens between now and our next episode, Darissa and Ryan, let me know. If I'm going to be booting somebody off of the couch. All right, booting somebody out of the tribe. And for those of you who think, well, why would she be booting them? If you achieve your pink elephant goal, you get booted out of the tribe. You get booted out of the tribe. So the goal here is to get booted out of the tribe. So I'm hoping I'm going to be booting somebody soon. So Fatia, Kwani, Ryan, Therese, Darissa, it's been great, and I will see you all next time.
Check out the progression of all of our participants at Cheryl's channel of Fabulosity on YouTube, or learn more about the coaching programs and services we offer at IamCherylGrace.com. This has been a Powerful Penny LLC Pink Elephant production.